So I thought I'd make another video about some topics while I'm putting some projects together. And, this is the only thing that, there's just so much stuff that's going on. I know that I could, be much more manageable with that financial money, but I have to have something real physical deal to actually kind of, because I can go by the measurements. Basically what it says to a website, to what an item is, and do the measurements, and that's fine. But there's something that the elements, stop seeing my chest. There's something to the elements that when you get to kind of look at the color, you think about the person, you think, you don't want to overdo it, you want to simplify it, you want to stay detailed. What does it mean? What does it interpret? How much of it most people pay attention to? Because it's just kind of like music, whenever you play a musical instrument, you naturally start picking up things that you never picked up before, a lot of the details. And as opposed to audience members, when they go to concerts and stuff, and they're having, you hear about Tomorrowland and these festival deals that they have, Coachella. As much as fun as people are having, they're not really able to, they don't have an IQ ear for it. So I think that there's a lot of elements that get played into it, but for the most part, I work with what I have and try to make a meaning to it, an interpretation. But if I had the money to be able to purchase, I'd probably have an entire wall in my desk, and I would have a lot of different items because I could go into extremacy of detail, which, for the most part, indicating colors from left to right to where an object is actually placed, and so on. But I don't have the financial money to do that, so that's just kind of because I really do enjoy building the model ships and doing kind of stuff like this. But this is something a little bit different. What I'm doing on these sort of musical equipment that I'm sort of sending to my family and friends, and hopefully it's greatly appreciated, and they get the whatever meaning to it. It's just like I had these little scrolls. And it's a really nice thing to add, because I think that, if people, want to write a goal on a piece of paper and put it on their desk or in their studio or their office job, they can go ahead and be like, oh, I'm going to, save $500 for a nice meal. I don't know, whatever it is. Or if you really religious, you want to write some proverbs from the biblical times. Write yourself a little note. You can, and it's a nice, cool little deal. They put their pencil in there, or whatever it may be. So I think that I have to work with what I have. So that's kind of what I do. But I did some of these items. I didn't really get to buy the correct size or get the all the items that I needed, so I have to go with what I just have because I kind of get it. I have to interpret what the other person is, what their sort of elements are. So that's just kind of what's going on, and I don't have the money to buy too many other things, but at least I'm working on these projects and finally got one completed. Sent it out to an old friend. And I still got, I'm almost completed with these simultaneously 3 or 4 other projects. This should be all probably completed before mid-January. I just ordered some other items, and the boat should be finished before the end of January for sure. And so yeah, that's the situation. So, but I wanted to talk about some other subjects that I think that were more important for my mother. I don't know how long time there was cameras in our house or recording devices. There's no telling to where it could have came from. There's no telling, because even if professionals got involved, I feel very suspicious that Sarah Cooper or Ken Cooper put cameras in that house or recording devices, or had Rosie or someone that was way long before any cameras or television ever showed up, and they were keeping things under tabs the entire time. It's difficult to describe because I don't blame my mother, because she's just trying to survive in a way that human beings in the U.S. don't understand what survival is in this type of sort of magnitude of what you're willing to do. And for someone that's very wealthy and very educated and from a very privileged life, to scavenge off my mother and dad's sister and my immediate family is horrific. It is very hard for me to, because it's like a poor village lady. It's like going to a poor village lady in fucking, some small town in fucking Russia or Italy, and, beat the shit out of an old Mother Teresa looking lady physically, and then take her shit and then tell her she better be grateful because it's the power of Jesus, like really psychotic shit that it's hard for me to interpret, that no one in their right mind, and they're very intelligent, and it was groups of people. There's nothing that I can do about it anymore, and nothing that because of what had happened. There was just too many people. Nobody knows about these stories. My mother would be very angry the fact that, Barry, who's fucking dead now, and this teacher was, I still need to make a video of how he was trying to train me and lure me and sell me for sex to a black girl. And they were milking the situation. And there's details in the background you'll never know. And that's why they do it. The fucking piece of shit is dead now, and probably a few others, and that's it. They all knew about Miguel getting away with whatever, and they didn't know about the other fucking 10. And the money's gone. And they're dead. And when they went to the funeral, they were dying on their deathbed or days before their deathbed, and they were just, oh, I did a good job, fuck you, and that's how they left the world. Because that's exactly what they did, because to be that old and to be that vindictive to a kid, 15 or 16 years old, the way that they were doing, you don't give a damn. You're a piece of shit. You're a white supremacist motherfucker that, from the very beginning, you were suicide. You were murder-suicide. That's what you fucking did. And, people don't like that. They want you to make up a story of history. So, anyway... so I thought that, I thought I would talk about these things because I think it would be therapeutic to whoever the psychologists are. Their sort of infrastructure to get an idea of, at least from my input, to say how my mother treated me, how things would kind of get into arguments sometimes, where things started to get, where she has to practice death, and she has to practice murder, she has to practice, I'm going to throw this kid away in a garbage can so I can survive. And that's what she did, and it was the profitable game. There's no fixing. That's exactly what it was. It was trash. That dead little girl was fucking garbage, trash, and they're gonna milk it all the way to the fucking mountain, to the White House. That's what they did. I'm not getting any money. I'm not getting anything. That's my blood. That's my flesh. Well, there's so many elements that you can't. There's so many elements to that affect a person and shouldn't be exercised. That now I have to, and my immediate family, for somebody else to then get their glories from in front of other people, and it's difficult because they were nasty and there was other people that were, and you just can't fix it, and that's why. Because my mother has an education of a first grader and is smart as a bag of rocks. And she's willing to kill her own kids. And that's the number one thing that you can also use. If she's willing to kill and destroy her own young, What do you think she's willing to do to me? What do you think she's willing? But it's not her fault. Because remember? Oh, because then remember? But I had a good time. Now it's time to go. And it's like, they did it on purpose. The people that did this in a small group of people, Kenneth showing it was all personally, it was vengeful. It was 100%. The psychologist and the corruptedness and that was involved in that, they knew someone else does the killings, I'm going to walk away. They knew. And it was just, I'm going to get a better life. I'm smarter than you. You're stupid. I'm going to get a little slap on the hand and then walk away. And the magnitude is, it's hard for me to understand because, like, even when I was around Robert Zarate, when I was young, before he died, there was a common sense that we shared, a sense that we shared with other people. Like, this is not what you fucking do. When I was around Alicia, this is not what you do. And it's very hard, difficult, because that's what it was. And I could, there's nothing that can be done about it. And I think that's horrible. So, anyway, some of the situations that I want to talk about is like when I was with my mother, and we started arguing. Some of the arguments started to happen. She started to say things like, "Si animal," and she would look at me like angry, like, "Yeah, you animal." But she's looking at me, but with a direction at at the house in the kitchen, at my Ivan's house. That little girl lives right next door. So what exercises do you think that does in the direction that she's now having to do that? But she's also now having to say, because she was getting very upset. My mother was getting, I don't know what you call it, but you know how, like, whenever they say that women, this specifically happens to women, like you hear this in the animal kingdom where a mother will kill her own young, and she gets crazy, like she'll just fucking just kill her own babies because of the stress. And you hear this in human behavior. There were symptoms that I want to say that she was displaying, that when I look at her, like, she was kind of just ticking, like something was, and not like a ticking time bomb, but somebody was doing something more than I know what was going on. And obviously that, like, you know how like Frankie was being thrown in his cage, raped with a bunch of guys, and then Miguel was punking Frankie out because Frankie got punked out. And I told Frankie, I saw some of it, and when I saw, I told Frankie, "Hey, what happened? What happened?" And he was always trying to hide this shit. And I remember Frankie just looking back like, doing that, like, and so he was always punking his ass out, putting him in this place, and that's what he was doing. So I think it's important for me to say this because, I think it's important for me to say this because in these circumstances where my mother's saying that, and she did say a whole lot of awful times that I can recall, but there was a fair enough number of times that she said this, and she would say that. "Si animal," and so she got used to the idea that I need to get this working meal to do this, and this behavior that she did, and I always thought that was, when she looked at me and she would say that, if I'm her golden child, right, and Frankie's out there suffering, and I'm, it is too late, as you can see how much white hair I have now. I think it's important, because I feel like my mother died. I feel it's because I used to be around Robert Zarate all the time, who passed away in a car wreck, and his identical twin, Edward. Edward had an identical twin. I don't know if he ever met him. I don't think he ever did. Died also in the car with him. The thing with this particular situation is, I always knew Robert talked about his mother. He talked about with very few people, and his mother died when he was like 7 years old. He was just a kid, and his mother died, and he always, so all that sort of yearning and experience and lacking a mother in his life, I was always able to pick up. Like whenever we went to Wendy's and some manager would be like, give us an extra set of fries, and be like, hey, don't worry, here's some extra set of fries. He goes, hopefully your mom is not going to get mad at you, man. You know, it's kind of late outside. And the guy would be kind of smiling and grinning, but he didn't know Robert's mother was died, and I would watch those reactions and be around him all the time like that. So it was something that, you know, or when he did, because he didn't talk about his mom like all the time, like cry about her all the time, but he did numbers of times. And being around him, he just grew up in a house without a mom. You know, and understanding that like this person that was your mother is gone, like that, no more. You don't get a mother anymore. It recycles to how I feel with this particular type of circumstance, because my mom got up and left and you had an identical twin, and this made it even worse because you switched the identity, and no matter how bad the situation is, it doesn't change. Nobody was observing how bad my life was and what these people were doing to me. When I went to Barbara's house and this lady slapped me upside the head, she started to say, no, I'm your mother, I'm going to be your... There were so many people that were coming because y'all went and helped my mother, and you thought you helped her when you had Kenneth intentionally, and what Kenneth did that was so profoundly deep. My mother does not want Kenneth in power over her in the immediate family. Didn't appoint that to Sarah and Ken. And no, I mean, it's hard because, you know, when you grow up with like an old village kind of mother and uneducated, a lot of the traditions that you want to pass down to your children are like all you have and are sacred. And that's because you had no money, or you had such a poor life that's really all you have. It wasn't, I'm going to get you a free job because Marissa died, keynote, 97 on the beat, white power. Oh, I'm Mexican now. Half of that is mine. It's you could go on and on and on with the debates. It doesn't fucking matter. And it's difficult because it's like the old village lady, you know, being slapped around, and that's exactly what happened. When I'm getting slapped, that lady's coming at me, slapping me like Diana slapped my mother. And that lady slapped me. And I'm telling you, this lady, I'm not trying to push the boundaries here by fucking trying to instigate things to start shit, but this lady fucking roundhounded, gave me a roundhouse punch, nearly. I mean, it was violent. It was not like just a tug. It was like enough to shake my brain, like this person, you know, like I have to physically defend myself from this person, or put this, like, it was not lightly or a thud. It was violent. I mean, it was, you do not put your hand on somebody you don't know claiming that you're my mother and that you want to fight for Sarah, because you don't know how vengeful this person was. Probably like 6-7 years I was homeless. I was about in my early 30s, and I saw this lady driving by Barbara in a large all-white pickup truck, wearing a bandana and looking all like, you ever heard that song, Born to Be Wild? Born to Be Wild. I think that's something like that, but and well, it's kind of like a biker song, and this person was in the car, and I was like, you should know where the fuck I am, and this person was like stalking me, and it was like, and it looked like Lucio Struck. So, and I didn't say anything. I thought I made a video about it, but I saw that when I was walking by the gallery in the mall waiting for the bus, smoking a cigarette. But you know, I think that it's important because all these elements and all these things is that, you know, you have to surrender to the situation, because it's like my mother was just born to be burned alive and suffer and sulfur shit, because these people were so greedy and selfish they didn't want to do anything, and now it's too late. It's hard to interpret because these people don't believe in God. I don't care what God you believe in, it's not the same God I believe in, and they don't believe in shit. They don't believe in anything. They want to help themselves, but it's to take away your jewels and outthink you and outsmart you, and then make the justifications with some other tool by someone else. It's very calculated. It's over a long period of time. And it's difficult for me to be able to, understand that, because my mother was raising me to protect her, and that's exactly what I did, and then they took me out of the picture, and that's why they shitted out the kids into her. You really can't change any of that, and that's why my mother was milking me. That's, feeding me, protecting me, because when she gets old, guess who's going to pay for it? And then, when she gets old, she wants me to take care of her, and it's a very empty, solemn reality of life, how death happens. Like, your life is just worthless. It is in a garbage can. They make the money, good dignity, all hero, nothing happens here, and you can't explain it. You understand that your life, how your mother and your kids, just garbage, fragile, trash, easy, and how some people are able to get away with that, and how you're going to use your empathy on the wrong people. The thing about that is that you have to be very careful, because just because somebody got old didn't mean that they got there gracefully, and you want to think that, and they didn't. Many of the people, a lot of these people didn't get there because they were good people. They hurt intentionally, vengefully at the innocent. If you're in a religious Bibles, you're right. I'm sure there's stories of biblical times and historical stuff even further you could look into in this, where you'd have generations of old men. And I remember opening on a Bible that Miguel gave me, or Mickey gave me, and there were stories, I want to say, I'm not sure exactly, in biblical times, where men would grow older and all they did was prowl and rape little children, homosexuals. Like, that's all they ever did. Like, they got old, they fucking survived because they knew how to eat, stronger, bigger, and they were raped. If not, they just continued to do that, and that's all they did. That's all they ever did throughout their life. They're fucking 60 years old, and they never got caught. You thought that God was going to show up to curse this person, or God was going to show up to punish, and it didn't happen. But that person got punished, but these other 10 didn't. And that's how it was. Okay, well, those 10 didn't get punished, and they're fucking 70 years old, and then you want to feel sorry for them because you don't know what story and the things that had happened, what they had done to get there. Because they want to say, oh, life is just all dignified, I'm old, I'm a rancid old bitch that fucking gutted out a little fucking 7-year-old kid. I'm going to make excuses and outsmart your fucking ass. Oh, and then I'm going to do this over here and do that, and I'm going to outsmart. Doesn't change the fact that I don't know what the fuck's going on. If it's my flesh, my pain, if it's my mother's, if it's the ammunition that's coming, that's shooting out, and all these things, that belongs to me, not you. And so, but you can't do anything, and it's difficult because, I don't even get to live a normal life, and I didn't. I wasn't allowed to, and that's what made it so bad. I know there's 350 million people in the United States, and how many of them were foreign people from foreign countries living a better life than I did and getting more comfort? I didn't get anything, you know, and I was just shunned, and it's difficult because my father, you know, obviously is a graduate, first graduate, and it doesn't care. It's just you get a very good sense of your life is so disposable and only good for the resources of somebody else. Your emotions and all that other shit doesn't even matter. You think you're a spiritual person and all this other God shit doesn't exist because they're still alive. They're going to stay safe. Nobody's going to punish them, and they're going to come up with a psychology bullshit. But it's just like me, you know, just like that little girl. She was fucking grabbed by the t-shirt and into the dumpster, you know, stupid. You know, we just need to, you know, get Ivan to take care of it, and, you know, and shitting and throwing up right in front of me, you know, and I'm sitting there in front of Ivan, and, you know, it doesn't change. Your life, my life didn't get better because of that. And they're going to do the pie dividing how it did, because that's what it took. No, now it goes over there. No, now it goes over there. No, but I had a better, now it's just keep smarter. You know, who's going to want my mother as a husband, or as a wife? Who's, you know, it's horrible. It's you know, I got to experience these things being around my mother. She'd hold her purse and stuff like that. But, you know, Julian really didn't. And by that time, she already had an accident. So, you know, to use an identical twin is a horror of a nightmare to understand that that's what they did. You know, but there's nothing that I can do, and it's difficult to deal with because it's sort of running in circles, and you know, thinking of, you know, the suffering, and we all go through suffering. We all go through bad things in life and hurtful things, and we wish this and this and this could have happened, but it was like the basics. It's like fucking stealing from the poor. You know, a weak, small, frail, easy meal, and you simply just kill the fucking, the mother, ripping the fucking Impala out of the mother's uterus as she's giving birth, so that you can have a fucking meal of Michael Jackson and fame and political power. And that's what happened. That's exactly what humans do. No different. Really no different. It seems different because you want to make sure your afterlife is going to be comfortable, but it's tough because, you know, they have their own agendas that run at the White House, and homosexuality, and who runs the shit, and who runs everything, and how everything migrated into Hollywood, and who's the hiring artist, and all this other shit. We're just fucking immigrants that came into this country, and, you know, it's like Oprah Winfrey said, you know, how far in back in time do you go? Do you go 1950s? Do you go on which part of it do you want to complain about? There's more than enough time for you to point your finger at any of the past that's happened. 3 years ago, with this dead body, you know, whatever it is that you to get angry about. And there's plenty of time. You know, how far of an era do you want to go back in time to talk about? You know, they're running their own country, so it is tough because it's just, she died, you know, and it's just like, yeah, that was it. Like that's all you get. That's all I got. You know, this brain shit of a fucking twin is disgusting, the psychology, and as nasty as a person is, and doesn't change. You know, you need to lose your own fucking life for it and suffer like a worthless pig that you fucking behaved and did. The magnitude. You know, it's like, You know, going after the George Bush daughters and shit and raping the shit out of them, and then say, "Oh, oops, you know, I didn't mean to. It was just, you know, Keno, not a shimmin' on the beat. White power." And that's exactly what it was. You know, people relate to skin color, the tone color, the hair color, the eye color, the pigmentation of your eyes, and the pigmentation of your skin, and how that correlates to good looks to how who gets it. You know, and you know, it wasn't for it should have been very domestically where, okay, you know, you don't get any fame. This isn't a fame deal. This isn't a free ticket. You know, you go to school, but you get to live a normal life. You know, everything still applies to, you know, taxes and all that other stuff. But this isn't a free ticket to millions, a free ticket to the celebrities to then go and transfer, and that's what happened. You know, and there wasn't a basic. And all the people that had done this to me, that's why they did it, because they weren't going to get caught. That's exactly why. You know, and, you know, it's tough, because, you know, I hadn't talked to my mother but a handful of times since her, you know, and she's being ran over by a forklift and raped pretty much in front of me. I can hear this guy, and I'm hitting the fucking wall. You know, I'm hitting the fucking wall because I'm like, why the fuck are you fucking my mother? And she just, I mean, there's a fucking steel rod and bolts into her fucking leg. And she's doped up. And it's like, for me, for ever see my mother on dope like that, scare the shit out of me. Like, I never seen my mother like cry like that, not cry, but like emotionally cry like that. Then for her to have, you know, she just like a emotional wreck, drug with a leg fucking amputee and just being fucked because this guy's in the, you know, oh, but don't blame it on him, you're gonna get a Ken Cooper experience. No, you're gonna get a murder suicide. Oh, okay, Sarah, no, you know, you get Madison. No, you know, white again, political power, whose team are you? Doesn't change. How smart this person has a first grade education. That interpretation, she knows that she could trust me. Somebody else showed her the picture and says, you don't get anything. We're the ones that she trusts. And that's what happened. You know, all these things that my mother sort of nurtured and wanted me to, and how she felt about dead, gone. The time is gone now. I'm 20 years into this. Could have benefited my life, could have kept me protected. I'm the one that's being slapped. I'm the one that's being assaulted. I'm the one that's being threatened. Because guess who's wanting to do what now? There's a new team that's coming after me. No, there's a new team over here. No, it's because Diana slapped the shit out of my mother, so Barbara then slaps the shit out of me. But do you see how, what the fuck they're doing? And this one goes to church all the time too. It becomes very difficult, you know, like, you know, all they're going to do is wait for Frankie to say, oh, it's okay, you know, I'm the one that got raped by 10 different fucking people, you know, it don't bother me, it's just how courageous I am. Okay, well, what about me, and how does this affect our family? Because then you're throwing this shithole, and I'd suffer because that still doesn't change my, okay, well, you know, you want $175,000 fucking dollars? You know? What do you think is going to buy you a good fucking meal? Why don't you go and see what they did to me and nearly sitting next to trash cans, nearly dig inside them for a fucking half-eaten hot dog, for a fucking half-eaten hamburger. And then why don't you go and see what that is when you have $475,000, see what kind of meal that buys you in a restaurant and a regular customer at a nice dinner table to have a full course meal, baked potato, some lamb or some lobster, you know, some iced tea. You know, and a dessert, you know, that's nice. That costs 40, 50 bucks, 60 bucks. It's very expensive. It costs money. It ain't cheap. You know, but, you know, that's tough. It's tough to, I gotta charge my phone here. Seems to. So it's tough because you know, I'm doing the best that I can, and I just didn't think my mother was going to die like that, and just have her twin and squandered off like that. Like you just weren't even ready for it. Like it was just a kill shot. You just didn't expect and worry, and it just happens right in front of you. And they took off with all the money. They took off with everything, and then made excuses. They took off with everything. Everything. Frankie is telling me, you know, we have $12,000 that our dad has left us. 3 kids. And Frankie's the one that says, don't worry, just take this money and you, Julian, split it up. That's what he gives us that money. So his portion of it is $4,000 a portion. He gives us $4,000. That's what he says, don't worry about it, I'll pay for it. No, he didn't say he'd pay for it. He said, and he was very willing. Let me tell you, and I told Frankie, and I said to Frankie, are you sure you're entitled to get this money? Like this is not me haggling. I don't haggle him for nothing. For the, hey, you know, maybe you should give me some. I was nothing. He just brings it up like that, and like, just, you guys can go ahead and take the money. You guys go and take the money. That's what happens. He gives that money. We didn't haggle him. I even said, "Are you sure, Frankie? Because you're supposed to. You're the equal son, just like we all are." He gave us, so he didn't get anything other than a portion of that house. But the house, nobody's signing any paperwork. Somebody bought it out and all this other shit. So I think it's important for me to say this because, you know, they took off and they stole. They took everything, the money, the financial security, the future, the suffering, the things that I had to deal with and endure were minimized to garbage shit. Minimized to nothing. While these other people were flying high scale, look stupid. No, look stupid. I'm babies. No, let me make an excuse and make this exchange. You know, I lost out on the premature development that I know was strictly to my surroundings, of being around beautiful girls, making things more blossom. When I was in high school, nice clothes, you know, equipment, good, you know, food, begging people for food, eating off their fucking counter table, leftover shit, you know, scavenging, and they very much, when people see you scavenging like that, it dehumanizes your value, that you're only now predatorial to anything else they have. Even if the money's stolen that they're doing now, that's not how you're living. I don't know anything about that. Oh, but it's just emotional over there. Oh, but then blame it on something else. And, you know, it's hard because I know that they're going to throw that dead body at me. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to throw that dead little girl at me when it's for the emotional credit for Sarah Cooper and for Kenneth, because they know how to energetically and emotionally infuse it toward the division of how this gets divided up. And, you know, you take an arm, you take a leg, you take Marissa's head, you take her, you know, you take, you know, a butt cheek or whatever, cut up her in little pieces and just feed them to the wild animals. And that's exactly what they did. And you don't want to think of that of a Down syndrome little girl that was vomiting and throwing up. You want to think about, you know, the black community in Keno and President Barack Obama, you know, for the niggas. You know, but for the white power of George Bush because the World Trade Center collapsed. You know, that becomes very difficult because they were very privileged and there were several other people that did. I don't get a luxury of life saying, you know, here's a food stamp card. Here's fucking $200 a month on Subway. You can't spend the money anywhere else because you're doing drugs or you're not doing drugs. I don't want to take a chance that you start doing drugs one day, but you got a fucking sandwich and something healthy to eat. Here's a $200 Subway card. Here. Got workout, so it's up to you. You all have to do it by yourself, but it was none of that. None of that. But they're willing to take $175,000 off a table and not tell me a damn thing, and that's how the garbage was. My dad's, now let's talk about his story, and it doesn't change anything, you know. and then of course, you want to feed it to the trash of my mother. Who the fuck want that? You know that no guy wants my mother, and you know how my mother's decayed, and you know had all these twins and being raped around and sold for. And, you know, you're gonna have some scumming ass guy. Oh, it's all about love now, isn't it? And bullshit. And so that's why they do that, is to steal, to take, to thieve away. That's the only reason why. And you're not gonna get any justice for it. You know, this was such a repetitive behavior, and that it wasn't just one mistake. It wasn't two mistakes. It was, I'm going to just steal, take away, and then domino, steal, take, until there was no more time. You know, they don't give a shit about my jobs. They think they're fixing anything, you know, and it's difficult because, you know, you can see why some people want to get a gun and start killing people. Because there's shit like that, and, you know, in some cases there are crazy people, but why crazy shit like this happens? Because there's no justice. There's not just any justice. It's just, I don't care. Your life is worthless. I'm going to kill you and your family, and then I don't give a fuck. And I want to get the president George Bush to cover up for Keynote. I'm going to cover up for I'm going to cover up for feel sorry for now he's missing a nose. You fucking do too much drug. And I mean, I'll smart you over here because IQ of 210 and IQ of 150, like. It's not even the basic principles to be able to. This is a very understanding from my point of view, and from what I believe, this very much from my immediate family. This was not a free ticket of Michael Jackson to free stardom. This was not a free ticket to, you know, everyone's going to build me a house, everyone's going to give me millions of dollars, and I just go marry somebody rich. There's none of that. But that's what they came for, and that's what they did. They just targeted I slept with my mother's fucking sister's friend, transgender, that had HIV. This is the amputee. This person had genitals fucking removed, like a fucking turkey when you eat at a fucking Thanksgiving fucking meal. Pus and green. This person is not mentally able to take care of themselves really well. This person is not, there's no fucking, I don't know how many other people have had sex changes. And this, to do that and then keep making excuses. You know, I miss out on a lot of girls, but they can go on to their path. You know, there's still opportunity. That opportunity is, after 45 fucking tickets, no jobs, being slapped, a murder happened with Chico, the list of things go on, and all of a sudden, oh, let's make another excuse for President Transgender Barack Obama's daughter. Oh, it's just, you know, this and that. Oh, but, you know, George Bush and the World Trade Center, like, oh, but white power, but wetback. Okay, well, we're not here to freeload off your goods, your gold. That is your country, your U.S., you know, American flag shit. That's fine. We understand my mother's a wetback, you know, whatever. There wasn't even the basic sense. These police officers knew he was being fucking raped. He was the rapist. Don't you fucking think that maybe that when a child gets raped and he's doing that, you're not going over the details, and there may be some of the predators, just like the other predator showed up right over there, Esquivel. Another 200, and this guy, you thought Miguel was getting, no, this guy was about 30 pounds bigger than this guy. Oh, but let me tell you something, Michael Jackson, the leader. I feel good when I watch TV because scum this shit. Yeah, I feel gay community. He wears makeup and lipstick. It's just, you know, Jesus did it this time. You just love about. It's so psychotic that I wasn't able to defend or none of these things. It was very disgusting. And, you know, I don't have a problem to work for the rest of my life at an 8 to, you know, print shop for the rest of my life at all. Because I don't have, especially now since I don't have too much time left. but I wouldn't have. And even when I was younger, I still had the same difficulties of depression. My opportunities are going to lose. They all ended. Just like I can't talk about the youth and the experiences. When you can't talk about that anymore, you talk about the golden values of life that really got taken away from you. You're not going to be able to talk about it anymore because they don't want you to tell you what you're going to lose. Because they know they can counteract with the female, what her mind is going to go through. They know what you're thinking. They know, and they're going through the patterns of what steps you're thinking of and all this other shit. Same thing with my mother and everything that goes on. Like, oh, I'm after money. That's tough because, it's, so many of these, they come from privileged lives and they're still going to get it. And they still did. They still did. Anyway, so I thought I'd talk about a few. I still have to make a few more videos about some other subjects, and I guess I'll post a video here shortly.